Hello, everyone. I am Holly Broadfoot, and I'm the Experiential Learning Manager here at CUNY SPS. In this webinar today, I'll give you a brief overview of your credit for prior learning options here at SPS. Because of the number of people attending today's webinar, please type any questions you might have in the chat box. We will be collecting them and answering them at the end of this presentation. We can only answer general questions. If you do have a question specific to your academic plan, please email the PLA program. We will have that email at the end of the presentation. Also, we will be recording this and it will be available to all of you later this week. The mission of SPS is to serve adult student degree completers just like all of you. One of the ways we do this is through our Credit for Prior Learning program. This is the process that allows you to credential the college-level learning that many of you already possess. Prior learning assessments, the process by which we at SPS ensure that credits being granted for college-level learning and not simply time on the job. We at SPS understand that knowledge gained both inside and outside of the classroom is extremely valuable. And so we offer a number of prior learning assessment opportunities that make it possible for you to earn credit for your previous education, work experience, professional credentials, and learning. One of the reasons we focus so much on prior learning at SPS is it helps students like you graduate. A well-known study called Fueling the Race to Post-Secondary Success found that BA students who receive PLA credit are 2.5 times more likely to persist to graduation. Our own internal data at SPS shows that students with PLA credit are graduating 2 semesters sooner than those without PLA credit, some much sooner than that. So PLA makes a difference. So what are all the different types of credit for prior learning at SPS? Well, there are 4 general types, and all of these are available to you. I will go over each one of these a bit more in depth in the next few slides. The first type of PLA credit, which most of you have already received, is your transfer credit. This is prior learning at a previous accredited college or university. Next, we offer credit via college-level examination programs. These include CLEP, DSST, Excelsior exams, and a new one, Sailor exams. All of these offer nationally recognized subject area examinations. Then there's credit through pre-evaluated training and learning. This is done through ACE and NCCRS. In addition, SPS has done some in-house evaluations for nursing credentials, health information management credentials, IT credentials, and a few others, such as New York real estate license and some financial exams. And last but not least is credit by portfolio evaluation in partnership with CAEL and the course PLA 300. SPS has established college-level exam equivalencies for several exam providers: CLEP, DSST, UExcel, and Sailor. What we have done is we've mapped these exams either to specific SPS courses, to general education requirement areas, or to elective credit. CLEP and DSST exams run about $100 a piece. You would go to their websites, register with them, and download test prep materials. You take those exams at a local testing center, then you have scores sent to CUNY SPS. There's no additional charge to place credits on your transcript. Sailor Direct Credit is a little bit different. They have about 30 self-paced courses online. You study the material, then register with a company called ProctorU, and they can remotely proctor the exam for you, so you can actually take the exam in your own home. You then have the score sent from Sailor to SPS. The cost for that is only the cost for proctoring, which runs around $25. If you read or speak a language other than English, in addition to CLEP language exams in French, Spanish, and German, your advisor can connect you with testing for college-level proficiency in about 60 other languages. Language exams can be placed on your transcript for up to 6 credits as general education or as elective credit. On our prior learning page on the SPS website, we have a list of all the exams from all of these providers, and the course equivalencies. You will notice, such as this slide that you can see now, that some exams are equivalent to a specific SPS course. So for instance, if you took the CLEP exam, Introductory Sociology, that would go in your transcript as the SPS course, Sociology 101. If you took the course Social Science and History, that would go on your transcript, Fulfilling Individual and Society General Education. If you need general education courses, we highly recommend exams, and we highly recommend exams specifically over portfolios for any general education course. Next, we have pre-evaluated corporate and military training. There are two companies, ACE, which is the American Council on Education, and NCCRS, which is the National College Credit Recommendation Service. They've evaluated many workplace and military trainings. For example, they've evaluated McDonald's, NYPD, American Bankers Association, and Walt Disney World. If you have any training or certifications, we encourage you to look at both of these sites to see if any of them have been evaluated. We don't guarantee credit from ACE and NCCRS, but we do take their recommendations under advisement. In addition, we have evaluated in-house a number of credentials and licenses in areas such as nursing, health information management, information technology, and then, as we call them, other credentials. Other credentials are things such as project management, EMT courses, real estate courses, etc. All of these are also listed on our website. So we recommend that you check our website as well for any credentials you may possess. Last, if you have college level learning that cannot be tested via an examination, it has not been pre-evaluated by ACE, NCCRS, or SPS, we do offer credit via portfolio evaluation in partnership with the Council for Adult and Experiential Learning, or CAEL for short, and through their Learning Counts program. To receive credit for prior learning via portfolio evaluation, you enroll in the course PLA 300, and that is a 3-credit SPS college option course. However, note that before you are given permission to enroll in that course, you do need to attend a webinar which focuses more specifically on PLA 300. These webinars are offered 1 to 2 times a week, both in the daytime and evenings throughout the year. If you would like to attend one of the webinars, you can email the PLA department, and I will give you that email at the end of the presentation. We will then put you on the email invite list where you will be updated on all of the incoming dates and times. Those webinars are about 30 minutes each. A few things to note about the PLA 300 course. It is a 7-week course, and it is a 7-week course both in the fall and spring terms, even though those are 15-week terms. It is also only taught pass or fail. The purpose of the course is going to help you identify your college level learning and match it to a course. Another thing to note about PLA 300 is because it is a 7-week course, it is a somewhat intensive course. There is a lot of writing, and you can expect to spend approximately 7 to 10 hours a week on that course. Now for the tricky part. PLA credit has to fit into your academic plan. Since everyone transfers in a different number of credits, each person's plan is different. In general, your degree has a few components. You will need 120 credits for your bachelor's degree. Out of those 120 credits, 30 credits must be what's called in residence, that is, taken at SPS. The 90 remaining credits can be a combination of transfer credit from other colleges and credit for prior learning. And within that 90 credit limit, there is also a maximum limit of 45 credits of prior learning. That 45 credits can be any combination of credentials, portfolios, and exams. So let's look at an example. Suppose you transferred 40 credits from another college into SPS. That would leave you 80 credits left to graduate. You have to have at least 30 credits in residence, which would leave you with your 50 credits. 45 possible credits could be taken through exams, credentials, and portfolios. Now suppose you transferred 60 credits into SPS. You would need 30 credits in residence. So that would allow you another 30 possible credits through exams, credentials, and portfolios. One final example, suppose you transferred 80 credits into SPS. You would need 120 credits to graduate, minus the 80 credits you transferred in, that leaves you 40 credits. Since you have to take 30 credits in residence, you would only be able to take 10 credits through exams, credentials, or portfolios. So the next thing is, once you know how many credits you can use with PLA, it's time you make a plan. First, have your courses transferred into SPS. Look at what credits you need to earn, then you can match what you need with various forms of PLA. For example, if you still need to earn Gen Ed credits, you would look at the various exams. If you've earned a credential, then you would look at ACE, NCCRS, and the SPS website. If you need free electives, you can take a look at exams or think about what you might already know, then take the PLA 300 class to learn how to do a portfolio to earn credit as well. If you are thinking about credit for prior learning, first discuss with your advisor how many credits you can earn through PLA. Next, look at the SPS PLA webpage for links to exams and pre-evaluated credentials. You can find the links and information on the SPS website by looking at the SPS main page, academics, undergraduate programs, and then credit for prior learning. If you would like to take the PLA 300 course and want to be placed on the eVite list for the PLA 300 webinar, you can send an email to pla@sps.cuny.edu. If you have any questions specific to your academic plan, you can always email your advisor and PLA at the same PLA email address. There was a question about the proctoring site for taking a CLEP exam. For CLEP, DSST, and the UXL Excelsior exams, if you go to their websites, each of them have a list of proctoring locations across the US. So what you do is you would look at the town you live in, you would find a list of local proctoring sites, and then you would register through the CLEP website and take it at that local proctoring exam. Saylor uses a company called ProctorU, and you can find out information if you're taking a Saylor exam on the Saylor Direct Credit website. No, you can take advantage of prior learning at any point during your time here at SPS. So we have had students wait and take exams as they were finishing up their time at SPS. We have had people take exams at the beginning of their time at SPS. We have had people who have earned credentials while they were in the middle of taking courses at SPS and then had those credentials placed on their transcript. This is one reason why we suggest you really talk with your advisor as soon as you get into SPS and kind of make a plan so you can map out what you want to do, and you can also kind of have an idea of when you want to do it. So for instance, if you needed 2 Gen Ed courses, then you might look at now what type of test you would want to take, and then you might think in your head, okay, I'll take one test next summer, and then I'll take another test in the winter of 2021. This way you can see that you are making progress and you keep on track. And then the other reason we suggest that is so you don't take a course that you later realize you could have taken an exam or created a portfolio for. Okay, I'm going to kind of answer 3 questions at once. There's some questions about how experience translates into prior learning. Basically, if you have some sort of credential, and that credential required a minimum of about 35, 40 hours of training, studying, and have an exam, then that might be able to be evaluated and you might be able to get some credit. If you just have some general work experience, or let's say you took some non-credit courses, or it's just something you do as a hobby, you have been a photographer for years, then that's really when you would look at portfolio. And this is talked about more in the PLA 300 webinar, but basically you would match that experience to a course, and you would write to course learning outcomes. And I'll briefly mention on portfolios, you can actually create a portfolio for any course you want to. If it's an SPS course, you have to use the SPS syllabus. If you have free electives, you can use the syllabus from a course at any accredited 2 or 4-year school in the US. And you also can do that for business electives if you're a business major. So there is some flexibility, particularly with free electives. So we've had people do portfolios and earn credit for free electives and everything from photography to hospitality to Buddhism. Someone who is vegan received credit for a food ethics course out of the University of Tennessee. So you have a wide range for free electives. The most popular course at SPS to create a portfolio for is COM 210, Writing in the Workplace. Fewer people do courses for majors at SPS, and that's only because there isn't a lot of times where people have the knowledge of a specific major already. But if you are thinking of doing the portfolio course, then I would suggest and recommend that you come to the PLA 300 webinar, and we can be able to answer your questions much more specifically with that. CLEP results tend to take maybe a week or so to be sent to SPS. If there are, and then someone asked about courses that are having a course that has equivalencies for multiple testing sites. So for instance, let's say you needed a US history and diversity, and you saw that there were 3 DSST tests, there were 2 CLEP tests, and there was a SAIL exam. You basically could just pick wherever you wanted to take the course, knowing that you would only get credit for that course once. So if there's a course you're needing and there are multiple tests, then that would basically be up to you with which one you want to take. And that really is up to where is the local testing site, what knowledge do you have before you start studying for the test. If you transfer in 90 credits, you cannot take advantage of prior learning. As I said before, your prior learning credits and transfer credits cannot be over 90. You can earn as many credits as you want to. Theoretically, if you wanted to take a test today, test Monday, another test Tuesday, another test Wednesday, and you did 7 tests over 7 days, you could earn your 21 credits. So we don't put a limit on how quickly you can earn credits. There's only a limit on the number of credits. Test results, and I'll say this, for basically UXL, DSST, and CLEP, you can figure about a week or so. For a portfolio exam, we get results back within a week to 2 weeks. And for Sailor, you actually have a certification that's verified that pops up, and you just send us the link. So that's almost instantaneous. Someone's asking about medical billing and coding. Anything, if you have a certification that would apply to HIM degree or the HSA degree or nursing, those 3 degrees, you would go directly to the head of those degrees, the head of that department, and you would talk to them about transferring in those credits, because they they oversee certifications that deal with their specific programs that has to do with accreditation in those fields. Again, if you have transferred in with 90 credits, you cannot take any prior learning credits. I will say, though, for anybody who is in the HSA program, HIM program, or nursing program, you can always speak to them because the way they transfer in credits and the way they handle certifications is very specific to those programs. So check with the directors, assistant directors of those programs about prior learning. Test scores are recorded basically almost as a pass-fail test scores, and that's for exams and portfolios and credentials, are not computed into your GPA. So basically, if you pass any of those, then it goes in your transcript. If you take a CLEP exam and you did not pass it, then nothing happens. It doesn't go in your transcript. You basically just need to go and take the test again. Okay, are there any more questions about prior learning? I'm getting a few questions with people saying, I have so-and-so certification, and can I get credit for that? We will do some in-house evaluations of credentials. Note that it takes 1 to 3 months to do an evaluation of credential if it's not already listed on ACE, NCCRS, or on the website. And as I said before, we will not start looking at a credential unless it does have some sort of exam, and unless it does have it has at least 30 or 40 hours of some online or in-class training. If you do have a credential you're wondering about, you speak to your advisor, and then your advisor will do a first look at it, and then we'll pass it on to the PLA department. Someone asked how long someone should study for a CLEP, DSST, or UXL exam. There is no length of the time to study. It really depends on how well you do or don't know the material. One advantage of the Sailor exams is you can make a login for free. You can read over the course material. You can take practice exams for free before you do a proctoring. Basically, for most people, you have to just study, go in, take the exam, and then see how you do. The only prior learning exam company that you don't have to go to a proctoring site is the Sailor Direct Credit exams. CLEP, DSST, and UXL, you have to look on their website. You have to find a proctoring location and go to that location. You can take the PLA 300 course in your first semester. You do need to take the PLA 300 webinar. Before then, the next PLA webinar is tomorrow at noon. And then I think we have one Thursday at 7 p.m. and then 1 or 2 more next week. So the other thing I can say is if you want to take the PLA 300, email PLA at sps.cuny.edu, get on that eVite list, attend the webinar, and also make sure you have a free elective or COMSU 10 so that you can do that first portfolio unless you're really certain there is a major course you know the information on. Professional development hours do not count toward PLA. Someone asked about the links for finding the PLA exam sites. If you go to our SPS prior learning page, we have links to the CLEP website, DSST website, Sailor website, and UXL. Click that, go to each of those providers' websites, and look on their websites to find the exam site. So you would go to CLEP, and they have a search box to find exam websites. Fees for the exams. DSST and CLEP are about $100 often for the exam alone. There's also an additional price for the proctoring location and proctoring, and that can vary depending on the proctoring site. Usually it's under $50. They will sometimes also charge materials for studying. However, CLEP and DSST will, particularly CLEP, will sometimes have sales they run. So like right now, they're running a 50% off test sale. UExcel exams, and all the prices are listed on their website. They will sometimes run $200 to $400. And as I said, Sailor, it's only $25 for the proctoring. As I said, if you have looked on the SPS website on the prior learning page and you've gone and looked at our credentials and you don't see a credential listed and you think you might be able to get credit for it, talk to your advisor and they will ask you a few questions and they will ask for some information and then they will send it on over to us. One of the things I will say is if you know of another school that does give prior learning credit for an exam, include that link, let your advisor let us know, and that can speed up the process for evaluating a credential. And as I said, there's no guarantee when we evaluate that someone will have get credit. It somewhat depends on who we can find who might be an expert in that field. Again, someone's asking about the proctoring sites. Proctoring sites differ for each of the exam providers. You have to go to the exam provider's webpage and find their own list. CLEP has different proctoring sites than DSST, which are different than UExcel Excelsior. So I would suggest you go to, and you can just Google SPS CUNY Prior Learning. That will take you to our page, and then you can have links to each of those providers. I talked about that a second ago. Also, with that, while I've given you some general idea about the fees, about $100 for CLEP DSST, up to about $400 for UExcel, $25 for the proctoring fee only for Sailor. If you go to the websites, like go directly to the CLEP website, go directly to DSST, you can see exactly how much the exams cost. They will also have the cost of the proctoring sites. So you can see what the total cost would be for each of those. Okay, we've basically answered most of the questions. Are there any final questions? Okay, we are right at 30 minutes, so I don't want to hold you up. Again, if you are thinking of PLA 300, you can email us at pla@sps.cuny.edu, and we will put you on the eVite list. If you have a credential and you have looked on the ACE website, you've looked on the NCCRS website, and you've looked and made certain on our own website that it's not listed yet, then you can talk to your advisor and they will send on information about the credentials and we can take a look at it. But note it will take 1 to 3 months for an evaluation. And if you're looking at exams, then all the equivalencies and links to the exam providers are on our website. If you take the PLA 300 webinar, we will talk more about all forms of prior learning, and those webinars are much smaller. They're usually under 10 people, so you can have a chance to ask more specific questions, which a larger webinar such as this doesn't allow you to have. Okay, thank you everyone for joining, and please circle back with your advisors now that you've gone through this webinar and make your own PLA plan.